She keeps a Moet Chandon in a pretty cabinet. Let them be
Alright guys, welcome back to Inside Peak. Today we're going to recover the winners of the 2019 Academy Awards. The Oscars. So, first we're going to go over the supporting actress. The nominees were Amy Adams, Regina King, Emma Stone,
Rachel Weisz, and then
Marina de Tavira
from Roma.
maybe.
I didn't see any of these movies, but Regina King did end up winning for If Beale Street Could Talk. In situations like this, usually you see the actress, especially in supporting roles, the actress that wins the Golden Globe, I feel like usually wins the Academy Award. That might not be the same for every category, but I feel like that is a category where you see a lot of supporting roles win the Academy Award too. To kind of talk a little bit about that, though, like Amy Adams has been nominated for a lot of Academy Awards and has never won. So there's actually tons of people that were nominated this year. Amy Adams, even Bradley Cooper has gone with at least 7 nominations and has not won. And I believe Glenn Close, who was nominated for actress in a leading role, was also another one who's been nominated for 7 or 8 times and has not won. So you could consider them heartbreakers, almost like a Leonardo DiCaprio type of situation. But Leonardo DiCaprio is extremely talented. I'm not saying that the others that I just named are not, but I'm sure one day, eventually, they'll get their recognition that they need as far as winning an Academy Award. Talk about supporting actor.
Yeah.
So, supporting actor. You go ahead. Talk a little bit about it.
Okay, so for supporting actor,
Mahershala
Ali, Adam Driver, Sam Elliott, Richard E. Grant, and Sam Rockwell were nominated. And I knew Mahershala Ali was gonna win that, honestly, just because Green Book was. I didn't see the movie, but Green Book was nominated for like Best Picture. So obviously, they would have like good acting in it and stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, I know. And Mahershala Ali won. I believe it was 2 years ago for Moonlight.
Yeah.
Which,
Moonlight,
for the people that have seen Moonlight, that also won Best Picture in, I believe it was 2017.
Might have been.
But
Yeah, it was 2017.
Mahershala Ali was only in that movie for maybe 20 minutes of screen time. So sometimes it's hard for me to almost think that someone deserves it. I think he's a talented actor. He hasn't been nominated for much, but everything that he's pretty much been nominated for, he has won. Sam Elliott, that was his first nomination ever for his role in A Star Is Born, and he's been around Hollywood for an extremely long time. Most of you probably know him best from his role in The Big Lebowski. And then Sam Rockwell won last year for 3 Billboards. So I'm not surprised that Mahershala Ali won. To be honest, Adam Driver is another one. I think this is his first nomination. He's kind of up and coming, even though he's in his 30s, I believe. But you know, there's uh, there's some movies on here, um, like even Vice. Vice to
Yeah.
me, I don't know how good of a movie it actually is. That would be one I'd be interested in seeing, just because I feel like, similar to Bohemian Rhapsody, it wasn't maybe given as much credit from the
Yeah.
critics, but people still end up liking it to an extent. So that would definitely be one of those movies that I'd be interested in watching, just to see if it actually is, you know, a decent movie that's worth all those nominations, or if it's just kind of a piece of garbage.
All right. So now going to the lead actress. Um, Glenn Close, Olivia Colman with Lady Gaga and Melissa McCarthy, and
And
Yalitza
Aparicio
Aparicio.
for Roma.
Honestly, I was kind of surprised that Olivia Colman won. I thought it was gonna be Glenn Close or the girl from Roma
Yeah,
for sure because I mean the favorite. I don't think they were nominated. Oh yeah, yeah. Never mind, never mind.
I think that the thing that was interesting with this year's Oscars was, I mean, A Star Is Born, I think, came out back in September, and it was like all hype about the Academy Awards.
Yeah.
You know, it was going to win all these awards.
Then
You kind of get caught off guard or by surprise about some of these movies, you know, and they really, I guess, surprisingly beat out A Star Is Born for a lot of, um, like, winning categories. You know, A Star Is Born obviously won Best Song for the song "Shallow." So Lady Gaga did actually receive an Oscar because she helped write and record that song. Um, I thought Lady Gaga did a really nice job. I think, if I would have seen some of these other movies, I could have a better idea of maybe who should have deserved to win it. But um, everyone in there is talented for its own set of reasons. So, um, you know, I'm sure Olivia Colman had
yeah,
a pretty good role in The Favorite, but you know, sometimes there's those years where you think it's going to be really, really competitive to see who wins. But some of these movies may not have been as well known. You know, Roma's a Netflix movie. Everyone watches Netflix, but it's hard to think of a Netflix film
yeah,
being an Oscar nominated, you know, thing. You know, Melissa McCarthy's, you know, usually known as a comedian.
yeah. That's I don't know. I knew Melissa McCarthy was for sure not gonna win.
Right. And I mean, sure, comedians,
Yeah.
you can be funny and still get a nomination. You know, if you play your part well, that also has an interesting storyline, and it's also based on a true story. So, um, movies like that tend to sometimes get a little bit more recognition from the Academy. Um, but yeah, that's basically our input on the lead actress award. Now, the big one, besides Best Picture, I think
Who was the lead actor?
lead actor. And
Uh,
big because
there was like three people that like I say Bradley Cooper probably was So, I'll just do Best Picture.
Yeah. So
Alright.
we're gonna end with Best Picture.
All right, so we're gonna end the video, shorter video. We didn't really want to cover up the like smaller awards. So we're gonna go to Best Picture. First of all, I knew for sure Black Panther wasn't gonna win.
No.
Or I didn't think Black Klansman was either, just because the name wasn't really out there that much.
Sure.
Same thing with like Vice, kind of.
Sure.
Same thing with Vice.
I agree.
So I mean,
I'm really glad that Green Book won.
yeah.
Especially because you've got a cast in that film that is basically has all-star status, with Viggo Mortensen and Mahershala Ali as your lead actor and supporting actor. A Star Is Born I thought was a good movie, but because it was snubbed so much, I really wasn't expecting it to win. Vice, didn't think so. Roma, for a while, I was thinking that it quite possibly could have been a front runner. But, I thought the same way about Bohemian Rhapsody. Bohemian Rhapsody won all of the awards it was nominated for except for Best Picture. So, that I think I would have been satisfied with, but I think I also would have been really, really surprised.
Yeah, especially when the only good thing about that movie was like Rami Malek, honestly, because if he didn't play Freddie Mercury, I feel like it would have been like a terrible movie, honestly.
I agree. I think he's a big part of why some people enjoyed the movie,
Yeah.
while others might have thought that they lied about a lot of the things that happened. He was not diagnosed with AIDS until after Live Aid. He didn't just randomly meet Roger Taylor and Brian May after their bass player and lead singer quit on a whim, basically. There were a lot of things that were blown out of proportion just to make the storyline seem a little bit more dramatic. But it truly was. I thought it truly was a great movie, Bohemian Rhapsody. Green Book's gonna be a movie that I'm gonna want to see.
Yeah.
I like to see all the Best Picture winners. There are some Best Picture winners, in my opinion, that really don't deserve it, but I will be interested to see Green Book. And I'm hoping it's a little bit better than Moonlight, just because Mahershala Ali won his award for that, and Moonlight was also a Best Picture winner. And I thought Moonlight was a bad movie. I did not think it was good, but somewhat of a competitive year for the Oscars.
Better than previous years, like the last two.
For
sure.
Definitely. I also really liked how there was no host this year. I thought things went a lot faster. You didn't really have to deal with any dumb skits.
The dumbest thing about the Oscars was the freaking Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga shit, dude. That was freaking dumb, I think.
The performance?
It was just cheesy.
Like
holy shit.
I thought it was cool just because you actually get to see two people that were actually in a movie that was nominated for a lot of things do their performance for what they did in the movie.
Yeah,
so I thought it was cool. I enjoyed it.
Queen
that was
opened
amazing.
up
That was great too. That was
freaking Adam Lambert with his freaking 100 earrings.
It's hard to replace a person like Freddie Mercury, but even though I might not like this guy's music very much, he is a very, very talented performer. I mean, he's got an amazing voice, and it's clear that Brian May and Roger Taylor know what talent is, because I mean, they were a big part of why Rami Malek was Freddie Mercury, and obviously Adam Lambert is touring with Queen now, so they know what they're talking about when it comes to talent. So yeah, I mean, Oscars were pretty good this year for the most part. Satisfied with a lot of the winners.
First, I just want to say one thing. For visual effects, I don't think First Man should have really won. I thought it was going to be either Infinity War or Ready Player One, honestly.
Right.
Because I think Ready Player
Sure.
One, just because Steven Spielberg.
Mm-hmm. And I'm a sucker for any Marvel movie, especially Infinity War. But I think a big reason why a movie like First Man wins is just because it's a lot of it takes place in space.
Yeah, that's true.
And you know, we were just talking about Gravity. Gravity was another movie that I believe won visual effects and things like that. You know, it's a movie that takes place in space. I think the Academy are suckers for films like that.
Yeah.
Then again, Infinity War did have parts in space. Probably a little bit more unrealistic, but Ready Player One was extremely creative. I really would have liked to see them win, actually. So that, yeah, sure, that is another category. And, you know, Christopher Robin was nominated just because, you know, it was kind of live action, mixed in with, you know.
But the other thing is, Star Wars is also in space.
Yeah.
So like
your visual effects usually involve things that are out of this world, I would say.
Yeah.
You know, and
like Ready Player One.
Yeah, for sure. I actually thought Ready Player One was a pretty good movie. Interesting storyline. Very connected to the way people view the world nowadays through virtual reality, because everyone's obsessed with video games and things like that. But yeah, that was another one that I was a little bit surprised, maybe not confused. I think all those movies probably, you know, the visual effects were all great, but choosing a winner for that, you know, it could have just been one of those things where you choose it on a whim. But definitely you know, that's a tough category.
Anything you want to go over? Any small?
You know, I'd say besides animated picture, animated feature film.
Spider-Man.
I haven't seen Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse just yet. Clearly, there's something interesting about that movie.
Like
Incredibles 2 is on Netflix now. Watched some
I
parts of it. Seems like a pretty good movie. Ralph Breaks the Internet. Big fan of the Wreck-It Ralph series.
Yeah.
Probably not as good of a storyline as the first movie. Although still a pretty good storyline for the most part. But that's another tough one too. Animated feature. I feel like there's always a few animated movies out there that you can tell they're probably going to get nominations, but hey, the one that you usually want to win doesn't. So sometimes you just got to give certain movies a chance.
Yeah.
So I'm sure at some point I'll probably see the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I just don't know when. But other than that, I mean, everything else has pretty much been covered. The main things that need to be covered during the Academy Awards have been talked about. So.
All right. That's it?
Yeah, that's it. I think that's all we got for today, for this podcast.
All right, guys. So, let's go over Green Book, won Best Picture. Alfonso Cuarón won Best Director. Olivia Colman, lead actress. Rami Malek, lead actor. Supporting actor Mahershala Ali, and that's it. Supporting actress Regina King. So that's gonna be it for the podcast on the 2019 Oscars. So we'll see you guys on the next podcast where we will be reviewing Prodigy, which we saw last week.
Yeah, we saw the Prodigy at least. I want to say it was a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago.
That's going to be our next podcast. Will strictly be on the Prodigy.
Yeah.
Strictly reviewing that movie, giving our input on it, and pretty much rating it on an IMDb scale and on a critic scale.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll be talking about that soon.
All right. So in the description of this video, you guys will see the website that I created, which will get all the ratings that we have on every movie, and make sure to in the comments to type any movie you want us to review. So yeah, see you guys on the next podcast on Prodigy.